Imagine walking into a place with a dream, only to be instantly judged, dismissed, simply because of how you look. That's what happened to Maya. She just wanted a car. What she got was humiliation. But those who looked down on her had no idea who her father was. What happened the very next day wasn't just unexpected, it was a silent, powerful act of defiance that would leave them speechless. Get ready for a story about prejudice, pride, and a response you absolutely won't see coming. Maya's hands trembled as she clutched her worn handbag, stepping nervously into Prestige Auto. Rows of shiny, luxury cars sparkled under the harsh lights, a world that seemed miles away from her modest life. At just 18, Maya had saved every penny from her part-time job at the local bookstore, dreaming of buying a reliable car, not a fancy one, just something that wouldn't leave her stranded every other week like her old, hand-me-down junker. But here she was, trying to be brave, stepping into a dealership she always thought was out of her league. She wasn't here for the latest SUV or the sleek sedans glinting in the showroom. She just wanted something affordable, something that worked. Her heart pounded faster as she spotted a salesman leaning casually against a spotless white SUV, chatting on his phone. She waited for him to notice her, shifting nervously on her feet. Every second felt like an hour, and Maya's fingers tightened around her handbag strap, a lifeline in this sea of luxury. Finally, when she couldn't wait any longer, she cleared her throat softly. The salesman, a middle-aged man with a slicked-back hairstyle, lowered his phone and looked at her with mild annoyance. "Can I help you?" he asked, his voice laced with impatience, his gaze sweeping over her, making her feel smaller with each second. Yes," Maya began, trying to keep her voice steady. "I was hoping to look at some of your more affordable options. Maybe some used cars?" The salesman's gaze swept over her, lingering on her simple jeans, her worn sneakers, and her braided hair. A faint, dismissive smirk touched his lips. His eyes flicked back to his phone, a clear sign of disinterest. "Affordable options?" He chuckled. "Honey, you look like you're in the wrong place. We cater to a different clientele here." Maya's cheeks flushed, the heat creeping up to her ears. She tried to ignore the sting of his words. "I do have some savings," she insisted, her voice wavering slightly, but she wanted to prove she wasn't just some kid wasting his time. The money she'd saved wasn't a fortune, but it was everything to her. Every late-night shift, every skipped coffee or movie outing with friends, all of it was in that small sum. But before she could say more, another salesman approached. This one was younger, with a friendlier face and a hint of concern in his eyes. "Is there a problem here, Richard?" he asked, his voice polite but firm. Richard, the first salesman, scoffed. "No problem, just someone who clearly can't afford anything on this lot wasting my time." He gestured to Maya. "Why don't you try that used car place down the street? They might have something in your price range." Humiliation washed over Maya, a bitter, choking wave. She felt the stares of other customers, felt the heat rising in her face. Her fists clenched inside her bag, the leather strap digging into her palms. Every mocking glance, every whispered comment, felt like tiny needles prickling her skin. She wanted to argue, to tell them they didn't know her. That just because she wasn't dressed like their usual customers didn't mean she wasn't serious. But her voice caught in her throat, swallowed by the crushing weight of shame. Without another word, she turned and walked out of the dealership. The automatic doors hissed shut behind her, the cold air biting at her cheeks, mixing with the heat of embarrassment still burning her face. Each step away from Prestige Auto felt like a step away from her dream. But as she walked, her eyes blurred with unshed tears, a spark of anger ignited inside her. Was this it? Was she just going to let a rude salesman's judgment crush her dream? No. That wasn't who she was. Maya's mind raced, ideas and determination swirling together. Maybe she couldn't afford one of their shiny luxury cars right now, but that didn't mean she couldn't find something reliable, something she could call her own. And maybe one day, she would walk into a place like that, not with fear, but with confidence. She reached the corner of the street, her feet pausing just before the used car dealership Richard had so rudely pointed her towards. For a moment she considered walking in, but something held her back. Not yet. Not like this. Little did the arrogant salesman know, his cruel words weren't the end of Maya's story. They were just the beginning of a journey that would change everything. Back in the familiar comfort of her family home, a beautiful, sprawling estate hidden behind high gates and lush greenery, Maya tried to shake off the humiliation. She recounted the experience to her best friend, Chloe, over a tearful video call. Chloe was furious, her words of support a balm to Maya's wounded pride. But Maya, despite the hurt, tried to downplay it. "It's okay, Chloe. He was just rude. I'll find something else." Later that evening, as she sat with her father in his study, a room filled with leather-bound books and the quiet hum of success, the topic of her car search came up. Billionaire Ethan Carter, a man known for his sharp intellect and quiet intensity, listened patiently as Maya hesitantly described her visit to Prestige Auto. She didn't dwell on the rudeness, focusing instead on the fact that they didn't have many used options. Ethan's brow furrowed slightly, but he remained silent, his gaze steady on his daughter. He knew Maya. He knew her resilience, but he also saw the faint shadow of hurt in her eyes. He didn't need her to spell it out. He had faced similar prejudices in his own journey to the top, though on a much larger, corporate scale. After Maya finished, Ethan simply nodded slowly. "I see," he said, his voice calm but with an underlying steel that those who knew him well recognized. He didn't offer platitudes or empty reassurances. Instead, he changed the subject, asking about her day at the bookstore and her upcoming exams. But while he appeared to move on, Ethan's mind was already working. He made a quiet call later that night, his voice low and decisive. The person on the other end listened intently, offering only brief acknowledgments. The conversation was short, efficient, and left no room for misinterpretation. A plan was set in motion, a silent promise from a father to his daughter that her dignity would be upheld. The slight she had endured would not go unnoticed. The next morning, Maya tried to shake off the memory of the rude salesman as she left for her shift at the bookstore. She tried to focus on her work, losing herself in the comforting scent of old pages and the quiet hum of customers browsing. But the sting of yesterday's humiliation lingered. Meanwhile, back at the estate, Ethan's quiet phone call had set wheels in motion. A sleek black limousine pulled up in front of Prestige Auto. Richard, the arrogant salesman, barely looked up, assuming it was another wealthy customer. But when the sharply dressed man who stepped out asked for the owner, his casual arrogance faltered. The owner, a middle-aged man with a warm but cautious smile, came forward, his demeanor shifting when he realized who the visitor was. He listened carefully as the sharply dressed man, Ethan's trusted assistant, spoke. There was no shouting, no threats, just a quiet, polite conversation. But the owner's face grew pale, his confident smile fading. Richard, watching from a distance, began to feel a knot of unease tightening in his stomach. Hours later, Maya's shift ended, and she was walking home when her phone buzzed with a message from her father. "Come home directly. I have something for you." Curious but tired, Maya made her way back. As she stepped through the grand front doors, she saw her father standing in the foyer, a gentle smile on his face. "Come with me," he said. They walked together to the driveway, where a sleek, silver car stood waiting, brand new, sparkling in the afternoon light. Maya's eyes widened, her breath catching. "Dad, this?" Ethan smiled softly. "It's yours. Consider it an early graduation gift." Tears pricked at Maya's eyes. "But I didn't want." "I know," Ethan interrupted gently. "But this isn't just about the car. It's about knowing your worth and never letting anyone make you feel less than you are." Maya hugged her father, the sting of the dealership fading away, replaced by a warmth that only family could bring. Little did she know, Prestige Auto was about to learn a lesson of its own. The next morning, Maya was surprised to hear a commotion outside. She was in the kitchen with her mother, Sarah, a warm and elegant woman, helping to prepare breakfast. The sound of a vehicle approaching their long driveway was not unusual, but this one was different. It had a distinct, powerful hum. Curiosity piqued, Maya walked to the front window and peered out. Her jaw dropped. Slowly rolling to a stop in front of their grand entrance was a brand new Rolls-Royce Phantom, its deep, lustrous black paint gleaming in the morning sun. The sheer opulence of the vehicle was breathtaking. A uniformed chauffeur stepped out and opened the rear passenger door. Maya turned to her mother, her eyes wide with disbelief. "Mom, what is that?" Sarah smiled knowingly, a hint of amusement in her eyes. "Why don't you go find out, sweetheart?" As Maya walked outside, her father emerged from the house, a subtle smile playing on his lips. He stood beside the magnificent car, his presence radiating quiet authority. The chauffeur stood respectfully by the open door. "Good morning, Maya," Ethan said, his gaze meeting hers. "I believe this might be more suitable for you." Maya stared at the Rolls-Royce, then back at her father, utterly speechless. "Dad, what is this?" "Consider it a replacement for the car you were hoping to find yesterday," he replied, his tone matter-of-fact. "I had a feeling the options at that particular establishment weren't quite up to your standards." The sheer audacity of the gesture took Maya's breath away. A Rolls-Royce? It was beyond anything she could have ever imagined. She knew her father was wealthy, but he was usually quite understated. This was a statement. "But, Dad, this is—" Maya stammered, unable to find the words. "Think of it as a reminder, Maya," Ethan said gently, his eyes conveying a deeper message. "A reminder that no one has the right to dismiss you or treat you with disrespect based on how you look. And a reminder that you are valued." He gestured towards the open door. "Shall we take it for a spin?" As Maya hesitantly stepped into the luxurious interior, the soft leather embracing her, she couldn't help but feel a surge of vindication. The world outside seemed to blur as the chauffeur smoothly guided the car down the driveway. Maya's fingers brushed against the polished wood, the soft leather seats, everything whispering of elegance and power. But more than the luxury, it was the quiet, reassuring presence of her father beside her that filled her with confidence. He didn't have to say it, but his actions spoke louder than words. Maya mattered, her dignity mattered, and no one had the right to make her feel small. The ride was a short one, but it felt like a dream. Maya's heart raced as they pulled up to the familiar showroom, Prestige Auto. The very place where she had been humiliated. Ethan leaned forward, giving the chauffeur a quiet nod. The driver stepped out and opened the door for Maya. She stepped out slowly, the morning sunlight catching on the sleek surface of the Rolls-Royce. Inside the dealership, Richard, the arrogant salesman, was busy talking to another customer. But the sight of the gleaming Rolls-Royce pulling up outside drew his attention. His confident expression faltered slightly as he saw the chauffeur opening the door for Maya. Maya stepped forward, her posture confident, her eyes steady. Ethan followed, calm and composed, a quiet force behind her. They walked directly towards Richard, who now wore a confused, almost nervous expression. "Good morning." Ethan's voice was polite, almost too polite. "I believe you've met my daughter." Richard's face strained of color. His gaze flicked between Maya and Ethan, recognition dawning in his eyes. "Sir? I didn't realize." "I'm sure you didn't," Ethan continued smoothly. "Unfortunately, my daughter's experience here was less than satisfactory." The owner of the dealership appeared, his face a mix of panic and forced politeness. "Mr. Carter, please, there must be some misunderstanding." Ethan's expression remained calm. "I assure you, there is no misunderstanding. I simply wanted to ensure that my daughter was treated with the respect she deserves, regardless of her appearance." Maya felt a sense of power she hadn't known before. The same showroom that had made her feel small now seemed like just another place. The same salesman who had looked down on her was now looking for a way out of his own arrogance. Ethan turned to his daughter. "Would you like to look around, Maya? See if there's anything here you'd like?" Maya smiled, her confidence radiating. No, Dad. I think I'm happy with the car I have. Ethan's smile widened just a little. Very well. As they turned to leave, Maya caught Richard's stunned, embarrassed expression. It was a sight she would never forget. A reminder that no one should ever make her feel less than she was. And as the Rolls-Royce pulled away, Maya's heart soared, not just because of the luxury car, but because she had found her voice. Later that morning, Ethan suggested a drive. There's a dealership I'd like you to see, he said casually. Maya, still slightly overwhelmed by the Rolls-Royce experience, agreed. The chauffeur smoothly navigated the city streets, the silent glide of the Phantom a world away from Maya's old, rattling car. They arrived at Prestige Auto. The same gleaming showroom, the same pristine cars. Richard, the dismissive salesman, was on the floor, attending to a couple looking at a high-end sports car. He didn't immediately notice Maya and Ethan as they entered. Ethan, with Maya by his side, walked directly towards the center of the showroom, the Rolls-Royce parked conspicuously outside, drawing the attention of several staff members. The quiet air of the dealership seemed to shift as they entered, a subtle ripple of curiosity, and perhaps a hint of unease spreading among the salespeople. Richard finally looked up, his eyes widening slightly as he recognized Maya. A flicker of confusion crossed his face. He certainly hadn't expected to see her back so soon, let alone in the company of a distinguished-looking man and with a Rolls-Royce parked outside. Ethan addressed Richard, his voice calm and authoritative. "Good morning. We were here yesterday. My daughter was looking at purchasing a vehicle." Richard's demeanor shifted, a forced smile replacing his earlier condescension. "Oh, yes. I remember. I was just about to show her some of our excellent pre-owned options." He stammered slightly, clearly trying to backtrack. Ethan's gaze was unwavering. "Actually, we found something we liked rather a lot." He gestured subtly towards the Rolls-Royce parked just outside the expansive glass windows. Richard's eyes followed the gesture, his jaw visibly slackening as he took in the sight of the Phantom. The realization dawned on him. This wasn't just some random girl he dismissed. "This gentleman is my father, Ethan Carter," Maya said, her voice clear and steady, a newfound confidence radiating from her. The name hung in the air, and the effect was immediate. Several of the other salespeople, who had overheard the exchange, exchanged wide-eyed glances. Ethan Carter was not just wealthy, he was a titan of industry, a name synonymous with power and influence. Ethan continued, his tone polite but firm. "My daughter was treated with a distinct lack of respect yesterday. Based on a snap judgment. A judgment, I might add, that was woefully inaccurate." Richard's face paled. He opened his mouth to speak, but no sound came out. "We have already purchased a vehicle," Ethan stated, his eyes briefly flicking to the Rolls-Royce. "However, I wanted to ensure that you understood the error of your ways. Treating potential customers with prejudice is not only bad business, it's simply unacceptable." He then turned to Maya. "Are you satisfied, my dear?" Maya met her father's gaze, a small, satisfied smile gracing her lips. "Yes, Dad. I think they understand now." Without another word, Ethan took Maya's arm, and they turned to leave. The silence in Prestige Auto was thick, broken only by the soft click of the Rolls-Royce's door as the chauffeur held it open for them. Richard watched them go, the color completely drained from his face, the weight of his misjudgment finally sinking in. As they drove away, Maya looked at her father. "Dad, did you really have to come all the way here?" Ethan smiled. "Maya, sometimes it's not just about making a point. It's about ensuring you never let anyone decide your worth." Maya leaned back against the plush leather, a warm sense of pride filling her. She had learned a valuable lesson, one that would stay with her forever. Meanwhile, inside Prestige Auto, Richard's reputation was shattered. His colleagues whispered, the owner summoned him to his office, and the reality of his arrogance hit him like a wave. He had judged a girl by her appearance, only to discover she was the daughter of one of the most influential men in the city. Maya's story soon became a quiet legend among the staff, a reminder never to underestimate anyone. And for Maya, it was more than just a victory. It was the beginning of a new confidence, one that would carry her far beyond the luxury cars and glittering showrooms. The story of the black girl kicked out of the dealership who returned the next day with her billionaire father and a Rolls-Royce spread like wildfire. Chloe, Maya's best friend, couldn't resist sharing a carefully worded post on social media, omitting the dealership's name but hinting at the dramatic turn of events. Soon, local news outlets picked up the buzz, and the story went viral. Prestige Auto, initially oblivious to the storm brewing, quickly found themselves facing a barrage of negative attention. Social media was flooded with comments condemning their employees' behavior. People shared their own experiences of being judged or mistreated based on their appearance. The hashtag Rolls-Royce Justice began trending. Ethan Carter, while not actively seeking publicity, didn't shy away from the attention. He issued a brief, carefully worded statement emphasizing the importance of respect and equality. He didn't name Prestige Auto, but the implication was clear. The dealership, reeling from the public backlash, issued a hasty apology, promising to conduct sensitivity training for their staff. Richard, the salesman, was swiftly suspended, and his future with the company looked bleak. The incident served as a stark reminder that snap judgments and prejudice could have significant consequences. For Maya, the experience was a mix of vindication and a renewed awareness of the prejudices that still existed. The Rolls-Royce, while a symbol of her father's love and a powerful statement, wasn't just about the car. It was about standing up for yourself, about refusing to be diminished by others' biases. Life for Maya returned to a semblance of normalcy. She still worked at the bookstore, enjoying the quiet rhythm of the literary world. But now, she drove a sleek, silent Phantom, a constant reminder of the days she was underestimated and the powerful love of her father. The incident at Prestige Auto had a ripple effect. Other dealerships in the area took notice, a newfound emphasis on treating all customers with courtesy becoming apparent. The viral story sparked conversations about implicit bias and the importance of looking beyond appearances. Maya's experience inspired many. Schools, colleges, and community groups invited her to speak about her story. At first, she was nervous, but with her father's quiet encouragement and Chloe's enthusiastic support, she began sharing her experience, not just as a story of wealth but as a lesson in self-worth and dignity. Meanwhile, Prestige Auto struggled to repair its reputation. The viral nature of the incident meant that even as they tried to promote discounts and customer service campaigns, the shadow of Maya's story loomed large. Richard's suspension turned into a permanent dismissal as the dealership's management tried to distance themselves from the scandal. Maya's father, Ethan, was proud of how she handled everything. "You see, Maya," he told her one evening, "it was never about the car. It was about making sure you never let anyone else decide your value." Maya smiled, the lesson forever etched in her heart. And as she continued to drive her Rolls-Royce, passing by the same dealership that once dismissed her, she didn't feel anger or resentment, only a quiet, dignified confidence. She had learned something far more valuable than the price of any car. Wow! What a turn of events, right? Maya's story reminds us that you can never truly know a person's worth just by looking at them. What did you think of her father's response? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more like it, make sure to hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe for more incredible tales. What kind of story should we tell next? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching.